The Armor Pambato Division is one of the major combat units under the Philippine Army. For much of its existence, it has played a key role in the significant events in the country's history. The Armor Division has a proud and glorious past, which has produced countless valiant warriors and gallant heroes, some of whom have made the ultimate sacrifice in the service to our motherland. The Armor Division has indeed come a long way since its inception. It continues to rise to current and future challenges by keeping pace with the dynamic environment through transforming and modernizing the armor force. These are your mounted warriors, and this is the humble story of your Armor Division. The precursor of the current Armor Division was the former Mechanized Infantry Division that was activated last 2006. But the humble beginnings of the Philippine Cavalry can be traced back to 1896, when an indigenous cavalry participated in the Katipunan under Major Jose Mojica during the attack at Lian, Batangas, against a well-fortified Spanish garrison. In early 1898, a cavalry squadron was initially organized, headed by Captain Lorenzo Jalcita, designated as the commandant, and 38 troops equipped with 50 Remington rifles, 47 bolos, and 38 horses. In the concluding days of the Spanish occupation in the Philippines, the Escuadrones de Voluntarios, the mounted warriors of Northern Mindanao, also shared a significant contribution in the pursuit of national independence. During the Commonwealth period, the 1st Philippine Cavalry Regiment, 1st Regular Division, was organized on 30 September 1936 under the Commonwealth Army. The traditional horse cavalry transitioned into armored cavalry when it acquired the FT-17 tank in 1936. The early 1950s saw the creation and organization of battalion combat teams, which saw action during the Korean War. One of these was the 10th BCT, which figured prominently in the famous Battle of Yuldong, North Korea, from 22 to 23 April 1951. The gallantry of the men of the tank company under Captain Conrado D. Yap was fully tested when they stood against a large formation of the Red Chinese Army that attempted to rupture the United Nations line of defense. While the Korean War was raging, the 1st Cavalry Squadron was organized on 1 March 1954, with the pre-war Cavalry Regiment personnel recalled from the different units to comprise the fledgling organization. With the reactivation of the 1st Infantry Division on 1 March 1956, a division reconnaissance company was established and expanded into a battalion as the 1st Tank Battalion in 1960. On 1 April 1974, the 1st Light Armor Battalion under the 1st Infantry Division was organized, and other similar units was activated in other divisions and separate brigades of the Philippine Army. On 16 June 1976, the Light Armor Regiment Philippine Army, or LARPA, was activated, integrating all the existing light armor battalions and separate companies of the Army. On 19 March 1986, the Philippine Army Light Armor Regiment was upgraded to what was known as the Light Armor Brigade, Since then, the brigade passed through difficult and continuous organizational transformation until on 11 September 2006, the Light Armor Brigade was upgraded into the Light Armor Division. The unit was then again transformed into a full-time maneuver force and attained its rightful status when renamed into the Mechanized Infantry Division on 1 April 2013. In line with the adaptation of the recently promulgated Armor Operations Manual that defines armor as a combined arms organization composed of tank, cavalry, and mechanized infantry, the Headquarters Philippine Army has redesignated the Mechanized Infantry Division, or MECDIV, as the Armor Division, or Armor Div, effective 11 September 2019. The Armor Pambato Division is mandated to organize, train, equip, provide, and sustain armor forces in the conduct of developmental support operations to sustain the peace, ensure security, and help maintain public order to foster the foundation of inclusive economic and human development. The Armor Division, through the 3rd Mechanized Infantry Battalion, headed by then Lieutenant Colonel Gilbert I. Gapay, formulated and implemented the Bayanihan Operations concept as an alternative approach in addressing insurgency. The concept was subsequently adopted by the Armed Forces of the Philippines. In order to accomplish its mandate, the Armor Division are composed of mechanized infantry brigades, cavalry battalions, tank battalion, mechanized infantry battalions, and cavalry company separates that provide combat power to the Philippine Army and are deployed throughout the archipelago. In addition, the Armor Division also has an Armor Maintenance Battalion with its forward support companies that cater to the maintenance requirements of armor vehicles up to depot level. As a reliable, capable, and responsive component of the Team Army, various armor units were given an area of operations with active and an expanded role in internal security operations, especially in the priority areas in Luzon and Mindanao, against communist terrorists, different secessionist groups, Abu Sayyaf Group, BIFF, ISIS Baute terrorists, and other lawless armed groups. During the 2000 all-out war in Mindanao, the Mounted Warriors earned distinct honor for their huge contribution in the successful capture of Camp Abu Bakar, the biggest MILF camp in central Mindanao. The armor forces also provided the much-needed armor support during the Zamboanga siege against rogue elements of the MNLF breakaway groups. The gallant mounted warriors of the Armor Division, with the modern and state-of-the-art equipment, combined with other Army forces, provided the much-needed maneuver, firepower, shock effect that resulted in the immediate liberation of Marawi City against ISIS Baute terrorist group. The unit is also mandated to support the conduct of law enforcement support operations with the implementation of martial law in Mindanao to prevent and suppress lawless violence in the area. For the period, a total of 538 assorted high-powered loose firearms were surrendered to the line units of the Armor Division. The Armor Division continues to strive to develop armor forces through the procurement of modern armor platforms, equipped with the latest technologies, with remote-controlled weapon systems and increased firepower capabilities, as these are employed through the full spectrum of combat and non-combat activities. These will ensure that the future force will be able to keep pace with the ever-changing operational environment. The Armor Division remains steadfast in its commitment in fulfilling its mandate in securing and protecting the Filipino people. In the same breath, the Armor Division is also a partner of the people in pursuing peace and development and continues to contribute to overall efforts in nation building and achieving a stable environment for the current and future generations of Filipinos. And we assure the Filipino people that we will subscribe to our motto, we will always do our job the best way we can.